Hey y'all, hi. So I have a bunch of makeup from Natasha Denona, some of which I haven't even taken out of its box. So I have a palette, this face palette I'm so curious about, the new concealer, a lipstick that I have actually tried and I can't wait to share with you. And I have the mini glam as well. So I have the glam and the mini glam. As you can tell, I'm kind of halfway into getting to know this makeup. It was PR, so Natasha Denona sent it to me for review. This video isn't sponsored by Natasha Denona in any way, but they did recently make me an affiliate. So I now have a code for 15% off on the Natasha Denona website. I will leave all of that information down below. I'm really grateful. It feels very glamorous to be affiliated with Natasha Denona. I have a long history with the brand, but kind of like with my NARS video, I'm not super in touch with everything they've done. Like I haven't tried complexion, lip products from them. I mostly just have a long history with eyeshadows from Natasha Denona. So it's different for me to be doing a full face review. I'm curious to see how I'll get along with these products and excited to get to know the brand better. Of course, I am approaching all of this with a healthy skepticism. Natasha Denona is a very full glam brand. I've moved into a little bit more of a minimal makeup space over the past year or two. And you know, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And let me tell you, I also try to stay grounded in reality when I'm reviewing stuff, meaning that I try to keep a realistic sense of how much makeup it makes sense for most people to buy, to wear, to use up within their lifetimes. If you enjoy it and this is your first time here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. And now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. So starting with a bare face, with the exception of the glorious Kimiko brow products, I am ever more impressed by them. They're really growing on me. The pencil, it's just flawless every time, and the gel is extremely strong hold. The other thing I have on is this, new from Gen C Beauty, a lip mask that can be worn day or night, and it's in this alluring pale pink color that of course shears out, but I really like the way that it looks. That's why I wore it like on camera today, to show you. It's really nourishing. It's unscented, which I really appreciate. And I think it's a nice product for day, in addition to being something you can slather on at night to nourish your lips while you sleep. Okay, I'm going to start with something I've had for a long time that happens to be Natasha Denona, the Skinglass. If you've been around, you know I really like this product. It has this iridescence to it. It's really nourishing. I really like a skincare primer hybrid that leaves a glow. I have come to think of this as the big sister of Glossier Future Dew. It really fills the same spot in a skincare and makeup routine as Future Dew, but it feels sturdier to me. It doesn't leave sort of this slidey layer on the skin all day. It's more serious about its role as a primer for makeup than Future Dew. It's like the grown-up Future Dew. All right, I think it's time to do the concealer. This is the thing about which I have the most trepidation. First of all, I was getting like messages and tags about this concealer because some of the shades looked really gray in the advertising pictures. There were a lot of shades that looked like they had that green gray quality compared to the super saturated other shades. So a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, Hannah, it's the concealer for you. But then when I went looking for the right color for me, I tried and tried. I looked at tons of swatches online. I followed the chart where you figure out your undertone and then you figure out your tone on the Natasha Denona website a bunch of times. And I finally decided that it's just probably N1, neutral 1. So the fairest neutral shade, because the fair cool and fair warm were looking, again, just like really saturated with pink and yellow pigment respectively. So I went for N1, which looked promising on the site and in the pictures online. And to my chagrin, it's just really peach, which is what a lot of neutral shades from a lot of brands are. I will show it to you next to something that is actually a good match for me, which is the Rose Ink Concealer. You will see, I mean, it's very dark and very peach. That looks like a dark circles under eye corrector for me. So the question which one faces in a moment like this is, does one put it on one's face regardless? And I think I'm going to a little bit just to see what the texture is like so that I can talk to you about it. And then I'm going to go in with color corrector and with other products so that I don't look dark and orange all day. I haven't tried it yet. Ooh, I was going to use the mirror from the palette and I haven't peeled the thing off yet. A little ASMR moment for you. So it's on this side, but not this side. It looks pretty mattifying. Like it has really, really taken down the glow from that priming product. Not completely though, which I think is actually a testament to Skinglass because it's like glowing through the quite matte finish of the concealer. It's kind of stiff. I was expecting it to be more spreadable based on kind of the thinness of the swatch, but a little bit did not go a very long way. And it just feels a little bit stiff. I could imagine that this is the kind of formula you want if you're really doing full glam makeup. The finish is beautiful. It definitely did some like pore erasing. Like my pores are just gone right under there. And you know, the color match, and for those of you who've been around for a long time, you know this, but I'll just explain because sometimes it confuses people. It's not terrible for my red face, but I'm trying to counteract that redness. It's a much darker and more orange color than the rest of my body. So I'm looking for makeup this color so that I can cancel out the redness. That's my main concern when using base product. And you know, what it does, this color, is it matches the rest of my skin the way that it looked when I woke up this morning with my reddened face, which is not enough for me. But I think that it means that I'll be able to work with it for today. I just won't be working with it long term. I was expecting it to be terrible based on some things that I've heard, and it's not terrible. The only thing that I wish as a makeup user is that it was a little bit more spreadable, because I like that kind of serum-y spreadability that some concealers are giving these days. Also, this is weird, but like because of the curve of the bottle, it's not very stable on its end. So I keep putting it down. That's what I'm used to doing with like my concealers. When I take the wand out, I usually put it down on its butt upright. But this, it's like I put it down and it falls over. And so it's lying here on its side without anything in the stopper in it. It's not as though concealer is coming pouring out, but it's just a little bit counterintuitive. All right, I'm gonna get the other side up to speed, see if the experience changes at all. Yeah, it's just thick or stiff. It doesn't feel thick. In fact, the swatch of the rose ink one on my hand was thicker. Like that was a juicier swatch. It looked like the product was thicker, but this one, it's just stiff. Okay, here's what I'll say for today. Final verdict for today, and unfortunately, probably final verdict on this product from me for all time, because I'm just not going to keep experimenting with it because the color is so wrong. So final verdict, I don't like the fact that the neutral one shade is so peach and so dark. I don't like the fact that a little bit of product does not go a long way, the stiffness of it. The result of that is that you need a lot of product to cover your entire face, or to cover whatever surface area it is that you're trying to cover with concealer, which for some people isn't necessarily the entire face, like they're putting it on top of a foundation. But it's so much makeup that I can only imagine that putting this on top of foundation, it's really going to give you that like full face of makeup look, and I'm not really about that life. So those are the two things I don't like. The thing that I do like is the finish. I just undeniably, my skin it looks like there's a filter on it. And I think that that is what a lot of people are going for who do want that full glam look. So I understand why it's like that. And you know, I like that look too, like a filtered look. I just don't want to have to apply so much makeup to get it. I could see myself using this color if I were bronzing the rest of my body. You know what I mean? If I was like, oh, I don't want to be this pale. I want to be a bronze goddess in the summer. So I was like putting bronzer on or trying to tan or something like that, you know, then this might be my summer color, but I'm not doing that. This is the color that I am, and I don't try to fight it. I'm going to use the Givenchy color corrector because it is really serum-y, skincare-y, something I can wear all over the face, and it's also pale. It's going to like lighten up that color a little bit. And we're starting to get closer to the kind of coverage and glow and color that I'm after. One last bit of intel about the Natasha Denona concealer. What I just did was I applied what turned out to be pretty full coverage, like a pretty full coverage layer of that product under my eyes and on my chin to see what it would look like. Then a couple of minutes later, after it had fully set, I went on top of it with another quite serum-y, spreadable, blendable skincare product, and I really blended it in. I didn't layer this on top of the Natasha Denona product. I tried to blend them together. And what it did was it re-emulsified the concealer, and they mixed together and spread all around my face. And that is impressive. I think a lot of concealers in this situation, especially full glam, full coverage concealers, would have pilled or bunched up or gotten patchy or done something weird, you know, and it didn't do that at all. It worked really well with this product. And so So that tells me that it's going to play well with other products on your face that you might try to use it with, like foundations you layer on top of, or the thing that I was more thinking of is cream blush, like cream products that you might try to layer on top of it. So this is not bad. I'm going to brighten up center and underneath with actually my Kosas concealer, which I have ended up hanging on to. So it's quite bright and yellow, and I feel like I need to counteract just in the center of my face. Almost like I need to brighten more than what the rose ink would do. Oh, well, I brought my spot concealer down here, the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, but I didn't bring the brush that I usually use with it, so I'm gonna awkwardly cover these spots. Okay, there I have a base from which I can work. Kind of no thanks to Natasha, although she didn't fight me on it. You know, I was able to test the concealer, and then I was able to work with the residue of it, and that's good. I think it's a better product than people are giving it credit for. It's just not for me. It's like really good at a specific group of things. My guess based on what I just experienced is that the people who do want what this is delivering will like it. Let's move on to eyes. I'm gonna prime my eyes with the Urban Decay Primer Potion. And while that sets, I'll tell you what I'm curious about, what I want to find out is how these two palettes, like the entire Glam collection, might serve my current makeup aesthetic for eyeshadow, which is really pretty simple, like single shade all over the lid, very little brouhaha. Looking at the Natasha Denona offerings, like all of the palettes, the colors in Glam and Mini Glam are the ones that feel the most aligned with my current kind of like minimalist eyeshadow aesthetic, which is really leaning towards taupes, neutral bronzes, shades of brown, variations on the theme of a monochromatic eye in a neutral color, often with a little bit of shimmer, but sometimes matte. So I'm kind of looking at these, and I haven't really dug into these at all. I haven't opened this yet, and I haven't swatched any of the colors in the Glam palette yet. Opening them now and really taking a look at them on camera for the first time, I'm really looking at them as like a collection of single shadows, a vast collection of potential monochromatic eye looks, kind of, rather than a tool to build a structured eye where you use like something all over the lid, something in the outer corner, something blending towards the brow bone. You know, I do love doing eyeshadow that way, and I have done that for a long time, but I haven't been doing it lately. So we're taking a little bit of a different approach here. And the other thing I'll say right off the bat is that I forgot when I chose this to review, I forgot that it has this terrible issue, which is that the shade names are like crease, transition. And I remembered once I got it and I opened it and I looked at it, I was like, oh no, I had totally forgotten about that. I remembered though, absolutely eviscerating this choice in the new makeup hot takes when this had first launched. I mean, the problem is not only that the shade labeled transition is not the appropriate transition color for a whole bunch of skin tones, but beyond that, not every eye shape has a crease. Like there's a shade labeled crease. Like a lot of people have eyes that don't have a crease. So this is an extremely Eurocentric and extremely pale skin centric way to label this group of eyeshadow colors, which I think in a vacuum are all very beautiful. And I do think that the palette itself is usable by a very wide variety of eye types and skin tones, potentially universally usable, but they've labeled it in a way that makes it seem like it's not. A huge misstep on the part of the Natasha Denona team when this palette was released. And they've since backtracked, and if you go to the website, it's like there are different mock-ups where they've like labeled the shades differently. In my opinion, it's not enough. It would be really great if they were to re-release this palette with different names, like different types of names for the shades. But today, let's see what we can do in spite of that. Just looking at the individual shades, looking at all of the shades, which let me hold up both palettes for you. So we have 20 eyeshadows here, all of them in the kind of color story that really speaks to me right now. So of them, which are the shades that are leaping out to me and being like, I might be something that you want to reach for every day? Let's look at this one and the second one. That looks a lot like the Chantecaille Elephant. That's like my favorite eyeshadow color to wear. This brown in the bottom row looks really alluring to me. Actually kind of like the Chantecaille Giraffe, right? You know, I have those two Chantecaille singles and I really love them. This is kind of what they give. That brown is a really nice neutral though. It might even be more neutral than the Chantecaille Giraffe. And it's got that nice satiny quality. It's like not too shiny. I love that. Okay, this really intrigues me. The second to last one. Oh my gosh. It also kind of has that satiny quality, not not too hyper shiny. So those are the 3 shades I just swatched. On my pointer finger, my first finger, that's the first one. And you can see it's shinier. The other 2 have that kind of dull satin shine. This third color is intriguing me so much. It's like mucky, gray, brown, taupe, slightly green. Yeah, those are the kinds of colors that I love right now and that I was hoping I would see in this palette. I love the neutrality of these, especially that third one. I love what Natasha Denona does with color. That's why I've been a fan of the eyeshadows for so long, and I also really like the formula. I don't like every color story that she comes out with. Like, I don't really like the color story of the Yucca palette. That's why I'm reviewing this old release instead of the brand new release that everyone's talking about, because I'm more interested in use value. And this color story to me is just the very tippy top in terms of use value of the current Natasha Denona offerings. I just feel like when she hits it, she really hits it. These shades, they are to me like the Pharaoh and Ball. They are to other eyeshadow colors like this what Pharaoh and Ball paint is to other paint. They just have the dimension. So that's exciting. Let's look at Mini Glam. Golden Flesh. The first one. Actually, that could be pretty all over the lid. Oh my gosh, I only have 2 eyes and I want to test so many of them. Anjo, this middle one, that is leaning a little bit into that gray-green territory that I don't really love on myself. But there's something about Golden Flesh that kind of intrigues me. Actually, Anjo swatched out looks more wearable than I thought it would. Yeah. Seeing the swatches makes me feel more excited about the Mini Glam than I thought that I would. But I think today it's going to be one of those top 3. I think it's going to be the third one. So the second from the last shade in the palette, I'm going to do my kind of simple monochromatic eye with it right now and see how that sits with me. Applying first with my finger, then going with a brush, blending it out, blending it on the lower lash line. We'll see how things stand. All right, there's the look without mascara, just so you can see more of the detail of what I did. This is such an incredible eyeshadow, and I'll tell you why. It's exciting. It's delivering, just with this one shadow, with this one look, it's delivering exactly what I had hoped for from the Glam palette. I mean, talk about use value, but this one specifically, let me tell you what my experience just was. One, it's not matte, but it's not a shiny eyeshadow either. So a truly matte shadow, like a dead matte, it can be hard to just get it to be really blended all over the lid. No matter how creamy the formula is, those shine particles offer the little bit of slip that make an eyeshadow that much easier to work with. But the older I get, the more I appreciate a slightly duller finish on the lids, and especially in the under eye area, because the shinier something is, the more it highlights texture and wrinkles. So with this, I feel like I have the best of both worlds. It has a little bit of slip and a little bit of that shine that gives it depth so that it's not so, again, kind of dead flat. Like it just feels a little bit more high end because of that little bit of glossiness that's coming from it. But there's nothing about it that's highlighting texture, crepiness, wrinkles. It's not picking up on creases in my under eye area. It's just really, really flattering all over the lids. So I had an effortless time working with it, blending it out. And I had this experience where I had put it on my lids with my finger, and that had created kind of a line where I had pressed my finger, just originally creating the shape. And when I went in with the brush and I was blending that line, for a second, it was sort of sticking. Like the edge where my fingerprint had initially pressed it on was holding as I was blending. And sometimes, a lot of times when that happens, there's no repairing it. Like it will never blend away, and then I have to go back with more on top of it, and it's just a struggle. But with this, I just kept blending, and it blended away. I think it's partly too that I have a really good tool for the job. I'm using my Refer brushes for this. They're just the best, and it's such a good pairing. The Refer brushes, especially these little tiny blending brushes designed for smaller eyes and hooded eyes, are such a good pairing with Natasha Denona shadow. I just had the best time putting on this eye look, like my current signature look. I had the best, easiest time putting it on. It was such a pleasure. I'm so happy with how it ended up looking, and I'm really excited to keep using the Glam because I will be able to do this. The one that I'm wearing now is this one, that one right there. I look forward to doing this with all of these and then branching out into the mattes, especially if I want to build a lot of drama in the outer corner with some of those dark mattes. I love that there's this like very, very deep brownish gray. I love a very, very deep taupe. They feel really creamy. I actually just feel more excited about eyeshadow than I have in a long time because there's such an abundance here of the exact kind of thing that I love. Okay, there's the look with mascara. I used the Make Beauty mascara for a full fluffy lash. So many of you for so long have been like, Hannah, you would love the Glam palette. You would love the Glam palette. You have to get the Glam palette. And I've always just been like, oh no, that ship has sailed. I'm fine with what I have, which tends to be my general approach. And now that I'm getting the chance to use it, I can see what you've all been talking about. Okay, so we have basically a miss and a hit so far, an intriguing position from which to be going into the last two products of the video. So this is the one that I've had on my radar forever. It is another old release from Natasha Denona. Make such bad choices as an influencer. The Tan Bronze and Glow palette. So of these 4 products, 3 of them are creams. I already poked at the highlighter with my nail. What did I just say? Of these 4 products, 3 of them are powders, and one of them, this one, is a cream. And you know, this is what I'm after. This is what I'm curious about. Is it gonna be orange? I'm worried it's gonna be orange. And I'm also kind of curious about the bronzer, which does feel really creamy, but it looks quite dark for me. It's just in some of the pictures, it looks kind of rosy. It looks orange. All I really want to know is if this cream will work for me. With face palettes like this, as much as I'm attracted to them, I've learned over time that I tend not to get as much use out of them. Oh, I'm gonna peel the sticker again. But when there's one key product makes me want to go back into it, then I will. Okay. All right. I think I'm like narrating my emotional roller coaster right here. There is like a copper leaning gleam in it, but I feel like there's enough pink, basically, enough of a rose tone to make it work without making me look too orange. I feel like it's always going to be a little bit of like a summer tan color for me. I wish that it were more of my nude, but it doesn't not work. It doesn't not work. And sometimes I go through phases where I want that sort of healthy bronzed goddess glow. That's a lot of color. It's pigmented, right? It has color in it. To me, it's definitely a highlighting blush. It says it's the Glow Cream Base. I'll leave it on my nose. I don't feel uncute. The glow is undeniable. I mean, the product itself is really beautiful. Obviously, I'm going to need some time with it to like learn how I really feel under different lighting conditions. But my first impression, my guess is that I'm going to use it. My guess is that I'm going to use it. And my other guess is that I'm going to use the Glow Impact powder, which is like this peachy powder shine sometimes as well. I worry that the other two, Super Glow is like, that's this one. That's just really orange for me. And I worry that the bronzer is going to be too dark and pigmented for me. But this is a really pretty glowy cream blush. So I'm not over the moon. It would have been amazing. I mean, the reason that I didn't review this when it first came out, even though it was so alluring to me, the reason that I've never been tempted to buy it is that I was worried. I kind of knew that there wasn't a chance that all 4 of them would work, that it would lean kind of orange, in spite of the fact that in so many of the online photos, it looks so rosy. It's more of like a slight copper situation. Receiving it for review, I'm really excited to be able to use the cream product that's in here, which is the one that intrigues me the most. But it wouldn't have been a good purchase for me because it's 1 out of 4 products, basically maybe 2 out of 4 that really, really suit me. Should we just try the powder? Because here's another thing that intrigues me. This is called Glow Cream Base. That implies that you then put the other products on top of it. Like, really? It's not as though it's staying super tacky, but it's also not, it's not like it's a cream to powder or something. So that's what the powder on top, the Glow Impact powder. I feel like the cream, it looks shinier with just the cream. Maybe not. Adding the powder is not changing much. It's not making it look cakey, which is what I'd worried that it would do. Ooh. It is making me look a little bit like I have that shiny sunburn, which I kind of like. Actually, I kind of like that. Okay, 2 out of 4. 2 out of 4 are gonna work for me. And my cheeks feel less sticky now. Like, I get it. I get using the base, the cream base, putting the other powders on top. I get it. I get why that sort of layered thing can create a really, really alluring skin look. I am glad that I went ahead and did that because there is something quite special about it. To me, it's very skin forward. Like I maybe wouldn't do this and a full eye look and the lip I'm about to apply all on the same day if I wasn't doing it for YouTube. But I could see myself reaching for this if I had one of those days where I was like, I want it to look like I spent the entire day on the beach, and I got like really glowy, glossy, ruddy cheeks. The combination of those two products layered is really getting me there. It's cool. We're cool with each other, this and me. Again, wouldn't have been a good use of my actual money because it's just 2 out of 4, but I'll keep playing with it. Ready for the lip? Can you even stand it? I Need a Nude in 31 NP Beatrice. Look at it. It's so pale and neutral and pink. All right, it might not have even been in focus. I was just so excited to show you. I mean, it's like I designed it. Here it is next to Lorna Doone, which I love for its pale neutrality, but always makes my teeth. Lorna Doone is this Gucci lip. Amazing, actually. Gucci lipstick. A great one. But I always feel like the slight yellowness of it makes my teeth. I just always wish it was a tiny, tiny, tiny bit less yellow. And that's exactly what Beatrice is. It's just a tiny bit pinker, but doesn't really lose that nude quality. And here is another thing I'm currently testing. The Surratt Lip Sleek in Nude de Soleil. I had this on in a video recently, revisiting my past reviews. So that's the one that's closest to my thumb. That's Surratt. Lorna Doone is in the middle, and we have Beatrice, which I'm about to apply there on the bottom. These are the kinds of colors for which I long as an extremely pale, olive complected person. They are extremely pale and desaturated, my lips, but better colors. And I mean, honestly, like they are the same colors, the same color as my actual lips. I really like the Surratt one. I really like Lorna Doone, but in my recent experience wearing Beatrice a little bit, it's just a tiny bit more flattering somehow to the overall look. And I think it's just that slight bit more pink pigment. It feels a tiny bit more wearable than those other two, a tiny bit less like dramatically blanked out lips, more of like that natural version of the pale nude lip for someone like me, rather than the like unnatural makeup-y version of the pale nude lip for someone like me. I wish I had had this when I got married. Like, this is the color. What I did was I used Lorna Doone and I mixed it with a little bit of a mauve lip liner and basically got it as close to this color as I could. I feel like my teeth still look white. When this lip shade leans a little more yellow, sometimes they look a little more gray. I'm just gaga for it. I am gaga for this color. And the lipstick is really nice. It's creamy, super emollient, very light vanilla scent, easy to apply, doesn't get all over the place, nourishing, pigmented, but not like insanely full pigmented that makes it hard to manage. I mean, it's just a really balanced, easy formula. I know that I tend to get overexcited about the new things that are great. I mean, I think everybody does. I think that that's natural. So I tried never to be like, I can immediately tell that this one's going down in history, you know? But if I didn't try not to do that, then I would be sitting before you right now saying, I can immediately tell that this one's going down in history. So I think that just in the interest of recapping, kind of like connecting all the dots together here at the end of the video, I think that you know how I feel about the individual products. I'll blow through them really quickly. The concealer isn't for me. It's a much more full glam concealer than I'm after, and the color doesn't suit either, but I can see that it has good qualities. The eyeshadow palette is a feast for me, both of them, especially having them both together. I mean, what a treat. I'm going to be hard pressed to use anything else, basically until I've gone through the entire 20 shadows and used all of the ones that appeal to me the most several times, because it's just ringing my bell. And the formulas are irreproachable. The Tan Bronze and Glow palette, color-wise, wasn't designed for me. It just leans too copper. The bronzer's too deep and probably also leans a little bit too orange. But by not using it all, by just using 2 out of the 4, I can make it work for me. And I do appreciate the way that it's formulated based on what I was able to do with it today. And the lip is a smash hit that may or may not be going down in history, in the annals of lipstick on my channel. More importantly, though, more of interest, I feel. How am I feeling about Natasha Denona in general as a brand right now? Now that I've gotten the chance to try out some complexion, and I've never tried a single lip product from Natasha Denona before. Do I feel like it's for me? Do I feel like the formulas and the aesthetic and the colors and all of that suits me? Do I feel like I'm going to be on the edge of my seat to see what she releases going forward now that I've had this experience, et cetera, et cetera? Same kind of assessment that I gave to NARS at the end of that video. I feel, and this is based both on my experience trying it all on right now and my experience choosing from the available offerings, choosing what I was going to review. I feel like I am not the target Natasha Denona customer color-wise. As much as I absolutely adore a glowy cheek and a cream cheek, and everything about her complexion offerings sings to me in terms of like what it's trying to do, it was really hard for me to find something that I thought might suit me because everything's so pigmented and either so pink or so orange or coral. The colors are just very, very saturated. And I think that that's partly the taste of Natasha Denona and her makeup artistry. I think that it's also the fact that it's a very full glam brand. So the saturation of color is all kind of coming from that place and is totally misaligned with what I'm interested in. I think that when it comes to me dealing with a brand that makes full glam type products, complexion and cheeks, so everything to do with skin, that's where we're going to be the most misaligned. With the exception of skin prep. I mean, this is a product that I really, really love from Natasha Denona. So not skin prep, skin makeup. I'm just not the Natasha Denona customer when it comes to making up the face at every level, from the base product all the way through to the color on the cheeks and the glow on the cheeks. However, on my eyes and on my lips, I often do make use of makeup that lends itself to super glamorous, complex looks. Maybe that's designed for super glamorous, complex looks, but I'll use the product in a way that tones it down so that it can meet me where I live. So, you know, I will wear this eye just with less makeup on the whole rest of my face. I'll wear this lip, but with a lot less makeup on the rest of my face. And I will love these pieces of makeup because the nuance in the color offerings in those arenas is so special and is really giving me something that I don't find from every brand, that I struggled to find at NARS, for example. With NARS, I felt more like the formulas of everything, including complexion and cheeks. Formulas are really right up my alley. I really was the target customer for those formulas. And I just struggled to find color in any of the NARS makeup that felt like it was singing to me. With Natasha Denona, when we align with formula, which is in lips and eyes, then she's also hitting color out of the park for me. I will, of course, come back and let you know how I'm getting along with these products, especially the ones that I've really fallen for today, because this was, for all intents and purposes, a first impressions video. So keep an eye on future content if you'd like to know how all of this unfolds. Let me know if there's anything else specifically from Natasha Denona that you would like to see me review. I might be able to request it, or, you know, I might be more inclined to spend some of my review budget on it now that I have a little bit more experience with the brand. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching to the end. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I really, really hope that you're taking extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.